What's going on, guys? So, what am I doing today? Well, I've actually been cleaning up a little bit because it was kind of getting a little destroyed. I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually just kind of cleaning the car up. So I wanted to take a cool thumbnail for the video. You've probably already watched at this point. So I did a couple of things. I just kind of tack welded on the front horns. I got the grill shell just kind of clamped on. Yeah, it looks kind of cool. I ended up putting this piece on that I had cut out to go luber, but I just kind of tack welded it on and did the old rust treatment to it. I kind of dig it like that. I don't know, we'll see. I can always luber it again or make another one. Really, it's irrelevant. So yeah, and inside actually, so I tracked down the little yoke piece at the back. This drive shaft I got from Brent. It's actually the perfect length, so that's pretty wicked. I had a spare Turbo 400 yoke, so this had a bolt-in yoke from like a truck or whatever it is there with a two-piece drive shaft. So I had a slip yoke and it was machined inside, so it works on a truck transmission. And it's actually a bonus because it fits exactly where it was riding on the seal of the transmission it came out of. So that's a double win. So the next thing I got to do is set the pinion angle on the rear end. So it's actually probably pretty close. I got to build a transmission mount first. That's kind of the next big thing. So the transmission is actually sitting on this cross member type thing. I was going to build maybe a little bracket just so it's got a little extra strength. There's a lot riding on that now between the transmission and the rear suspension. But I got just like I think it's like a one I had, Turbo 350 type. So I'll put that on the transmission, jack it up. It's centered in the car. Weld that on, and then that's going to be where it's going to be. I can find out the angle of the transmission, and hopefully it's good. And if it is, the rear end's just tacked together, so I got to pull it all out. I'll clean it up and weld it in solid and properly. Same with these front arms and everything. Everything's just tack welded together from there back, so I can get that. You guys keep mentioning a panhard bar. I'm on it. I know. But I wanted to make sure I had the rear end situated where I want before I put it on. But I'm happy with it, so I can work on that and a set of rear shocks. Otherwise, I gotta order a set of kind of front hot rod shocks, figure out how I want to mount the front headlights. But yeah, so that's what we're gonna work on today. I'm pretty stoked on that. Unfortunately, it's kind of a weird drive shaft that has to get some conversion U-joints front and back, but hey, it's the right size. That's a win. I'll order some of those tomorrow. Hopefully I can get those in shortly. Make that all 100%, then I mean the driveline will be hooked up. And I'm gonna test this fuel tank, hopefully it won't leak. Because really, then I could kind of hotwire this thing and see if it goes in and out of gear, do a few little things. Because this transmission, I don't know anything about it. It just came with a car, so it must be good. That's what we're working on today. I'll do a little bit more cleaning, take this picture, and we'll be back at it. And yeah, hot rods are fun. Alright guys, so I've jumped ahead a little bit. So got the car up on stands, the rear end's kind of hanging out a bit. So what I managed to do is I built a little transmission mount, pretty simple. I put my little handy dandy degree finder on, so I got about 2 degrees down. The rear end's about, I don't know, a degree or 2 up. So it's close enough for me for what we're doing. Big concern running into is the rear end's offset, so we'll see how that goes. But it was free, and I'm gonna try it out. So anyways, I'm gonna just take these bolts out, pull the rear end out, and clean it up a little bit and weld everything properly, because everything's just kind of tack welded together. Literally, it's just these 2 little tacks holding it there, and then same with the rear end. So I'll get that cleaned up, welded back together. I think I got to cut those little plates off of the where the spring perches are, because they're not exactly straight. So yeah, I'm gonna do that, and hopefully put it back down together tonight. Yeah, wish me luck. All right, rear end's all welded back together, back in the car, so I'm happy with it. The only thing we gotta do now is redo the coil spring little pockets. They were just kind of off kilter a little, so I'll basically just kind of lower it down and buzz them back on. Also, it was the diff was really dirty, so it wasn't taking welds very well. So I'll do that, make sure it's all squared up, but it should be. And yeah, I should just be like, I'm just gonna tack them back on the way they were. And then tomorrow, I gotta build a bunch of little gussets and stuff, plate the rear, do a few things like that. But Danielle's just out here. It's supper time. Actually, it's super late. It's like 9 o'clock, so it's late night snack time. And then, yeah, I'll come back out, drop her down, clean up for the night, be back at her tomorrow. All right, so I got the rear end in. It's back on the ground, so I got the coils all welded in. They're just tacked in. I got to build some bracing for that tomorrow. 'Cause right now they're just welded on the top of the rear end, and I want to just have some gussets. But that's a job for tomorrow. I'm pretty stoked. Like I said, the drive shaft's going to work out. I got to start figuring out what I want to do for a floor, but bigger problems to be had. I want to get the body bolted down, so I got to do some measuring, center it in the wheel wells, side to side, front to back. I mean, it looks decent in all the pictures and everything, but it's always banging around all those things. So I want to get that dealt with 100%. I want to finish bracing up the motor plate. It needs something kind of tie those together on a little hairpin mount. I want to make that dual shear, so I'll build a little bracket over and then down. And then yeah, I mean, that way firewall back will be sturdy, taken care of, and I'm happy with it until it drives like shit. But that's where I'm gonna leave it for tonight. If you have a comment, leave it below. Subscribe to the channel. Yeah, see you guys in the morning. What's going on, guys? What's the next day? Oh yeah, we've been working a little bit. So I took some angle and I cut some 3-inch sections of it. I think this is what I'm going to use to mount the body. So a few people have mentioned, you know, the car looks goofy and doesn't sit in the wheel wells and it's over. It's it gets not bolted down or anything like that. It's just literally sitting on the chassis. So I'm gonna do a little measuring, square it up on the body or on the body to the frame, and make sure it sits cool in the wheel wells and all those sort of things. My plan was just take some of these. I'm gonna use this brace here. I'm gonna basically weld it like that, but under there was probably a hockey puck to hold that. At the front, it already has a little kind of tab, so I was gonna weld one there, might even be a little smaller, and just weld a bar off that and then drill those together and keep that as low as I can. It's a little piece of radiator hose or piece of rubber or mud flap or something short there. Same thing, I barely want it off the frame, so when I put the hockey puck in, I'll just kind of lift it up a little bit with a floor jack and be done with it. And then at the back, I'll do something probably by the kick, I'm thinking, or maybe off the side, I don't know, but nothing overly crazy. Might even do one here. I don't know, just seems funny to have 1, 2, 3 and then nothing at the back, so I'll do that. This I want to keep as much as I can, and I was going to end up kind of going up and over it for the tunnel. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. Right or wrong, that's where I'm going. So I'm going to get the tape measure out, center this thing side to side. I'm happy with it in the front. I think where it's going to be, so that's cool. I'll measure off that, make sure those two mounts are the same. Again, I'm going off the fact that I assume the frame is straight and I assume that the body is straight. So it's going to be what it's going to be, but as long as it looks cool, right? So I'll get this thing kind of situated, bring it back once I get ready to start burning some stuff in. Alright, so here's what I've done. The two front mounts, I put those where I want them, and just put some vice grips to hold them. I then measured off of the body of the wheel a few different spots. So the body is centered this way. Then I just kind of eyeballed the wheel well. Now, it's easy to get this side. It's kind of hard to get on this side because I got the stupid toolbox in the way. Small garage problems, but I don't know if you guys can even see. It's pretty close. You know, my little gap here from the tire to the lip of the wheel well is about the same on both sides, so I think I'm gonna live with it. I mean, at least it's close enough now. I can put all the mounts where I want them, and then if I have to kind of, you know, oblong the hole or do whatever, I can, because it's not miles and miles out. It sits basically the same front and back. Right at the kick is where the firewall is, so I think that looks just fine. So overall, I think I'm happy with it. So I'm gonna put a few clamps on it, and then I'm gonna mark these braces on the frame just with a marker, so if it does move, I can kind of get back to where it is. But with a vice grip in the front, if I make these mounts at the back real quick, I think I'll be sitting pretty. At least then it won't bounce around, and I can live with it. And then I don't know, I might even just push it outside maybe tomorrow or the next day and kind of step back at it, just so I can kind of put my eyes on it and make sure it's all good. So that's what I'm gonna do, ground those down, weld a few mounts in like nothing, and carry on. Well, so here's what I did. I welded on a little bracket, and then I just took a flat piece of steel and set it inside the original bracket, and I had a little piece of rubber I jammed in there and squeezed it all together. I ran out of washers, unfortunately, so I gotta get some more tomorrow, but it's anchored together. So just kind of show you, this is how the other one started off, just a piece of angle. I then said I put the piece of steel in there, welded it. This I cut to the same thing, jammed it under the whole mess, and clamped her down. So it's just sitting that whatever this rubber thing is, that amount off the frame, but it should be good. I just buzzed it down the sides once I get it more together and get under it and get the whole thing all the way around. Clean it up a little bit, make it look a little nicer, maybe put a little cut or something in there. But anyways, I got that going, so it's not gonna move. Yeah, so I got that one done in, and then these ones here, I think I'm literally gonna do the same thing. Lift them up, drill a hole, cut a hockey puck in half, and be done with it. Alright, well, she's a little smoky in here. I had to trim up my genuine Canadian Tire body mounts. But I got this thing bolted in, so it's got the front 2 bolts, the back 2 bolts. It's not going anywhere. I'm happy. It's, you know, eyeballed. I ended up throwing the tape measure away just because nothing was making sense. So it looks good. That's all that really matters. Like I said, there's enough slop. I can adjust the body and do whatever I got to do down the road. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I think this video is probably almost done. You know what I'd like to do? Is hear this thing make just a little bit of noise. So it's got a couple of broken plug wires on the other side. I'm hoping I can take apart and recrimp back together. And it needs a starter, but I think I have one on that small block Chevy there. I'll just rob off of it. And if not, I might have one in the miscellaneous pile. Stab a starter on there, put the booster pack on it, and just see if it'll bark to noise, because I want to hear it do something. I think that'll just be fun. So that's what we're going to work on right now. Alright, so here is my problem. The spark plug boots were pulled apart. What's going on?
I want to hear what the problem was.
This is my problem. So I'm going to see if I can just kind of fix this sucker up. Pulling this out off camera. So there we go. Now these are kind of supposed to be crimped together, so I'm just going to uncrimp them. The proper tools.
It smells like burning in here.
Yeah, it was burning stuff. I was cutting hockey pucks. I mean motor mounts or body mounts, whatever you want to call them. It's a holiday, nothing's open.
I know.
Plus, I don't think if you went in and asked for body mounts for a 27 Model T, the parts guy would know what he wants, what it is.
Really?
He'd ask you if it's a automatic or standard. So anyways, this little center electrode, you just kind of fold her back like it was. We're gonna stuff this in there. Probably could trim it, redo this, and there's actually a proper tool, which I do have.
But why bother?
This is way faster. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Go ahead. Oh, you know what I did do? Is run the wire through the boot first. I somehow blame you. I'll see if we can just ramrod it in there.
Oh, I'm blessed that I came out to watch this.
Don't you have something else you could be doing right now?
I was playing The Witcher and drinking a White Claw. But this is really entertaining. How are you going to get it past the angle?
Oh, it doesn't have to go past the angle. I nailed it. Huh, you know, let's do them all this way. Typically, you run the wire through, do that, and then just pop her on. Instead, you struggle and make it happen. But there we go. You can see in there.
Work harder, not smarter.
Yeah, I definitely like to suffer. Sorry, I did one. This is another one. And then one left. So I'll do that. Maybe I'll do it the right way. And then stab a starter on here if I have one. I really hope I do. I want to make this thing run. For like 8 seconds.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. You gotta be here and
No.
Oh.
I'm gonna go play The Witcher.
Scene. Okay, so I did the plug wires. The other thing you gotta do, well, I had to do, at the back of these small block Chevys, right there, I'm touching it, that's the idiot light, and it was teed off, it had a gauge, and it was open, so obviously the motor had a gauge. So I put a plug in that, which I robbed off that motor. It's good to have these parts motors. And then I had a starter on the shelf, a couple of miscellaneous bolts, and I just tested it with the old booster pack, and she's good. Unfortunately, I got to wrestle under this thing and try and get it in there. Hopefully, I can just maybe snag around the side because it's got no exhaust or anything. But yeah, get that on there, hook the plugs up, jumper wire. We'll see what happens. All right, so here's where I'm at. Plug wires are all on. I took off the linkage so the carburetor will actually go. It was jammed up against the firewall. Got that figured out. Brought out the battery box. What's the point of having an old hot rod if you can't use it like that, right? I tried off the jump box, didn't have enough jam. So I've got it just kind of hot wire just to the starter. I still got to run a wire to the coil. That would be the hot wire and the hot wiring. But got my little button. So it seems like a crank over and it's happy. So I'm gonna dump a little bit of gasoline down this here vent tube, so the carburetor fill the bowl a little bit, and run a wire from the coil to this or something like that. Something that's easy to pull when it all goes sideways. And we'll go from there. Now that being said, hey, these headers are just sitting on there. They're not bolted on properly or nothing. There's no fan, there's no water. I'm just gonna let it bark to life and have a little bit of fun.
I'd like to point out that none of this looks safe.
We're fine. Whoops. You're standing far away anyways.
There's not one piece of this situation that makes me feel safe.
Hey. What's not to feel safe? I think it'll be good. I should have made this wire longer. That was the mistake.
So it's hooked up to my car?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's getting some juice. Use the battery.
Oh yeah.
Must be great to show the police and they go, what happened?
I don't know,
I
man.
don't know what happened. My gloves.
I'll move this box so that when I have to run away, I right.
Maybe don't show the box as her
I
address.
don't remember it. What?
Got her address on it. For all the weirdos.
It had the Ferry Road address on it.
All right, we're all good then. Ready?
I guess. Oh God.
Hot rods are cool. Want me to strap some seats in it? We'll go for a ride around the block or what? That was good. Cool. You don't seem like you're overly enthused.
I'm enthused.
Actually, that'll be louder. Ready?
I guess. Oh God.
Hot rods are cool. Alright. She ran. I'm not gonna lie, I actually knew this motor ran, but it was cool shooting fire, eh? I liked it. It was loud. That's hot rods for you. It needs some baffles in the mufflers or in the pipes or something like that. But that's pretty good. That's we're ending it today. So
Like, share, subscribe.
tell a friend.
Tell a friend.
Alright guys, we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.